All right, let's cheers.
Cheers.
So, Austin, today, what are we talking about?
Disney.
We're talking about Mickey Mouse, or as I went to Disneyland for the first time. Well, not the first time with my son, but
Yeah.
the first time he's going to remember, and he can speak a little bit. And the way I described it was saying, we're going to Mickey's house.
Yeah.
And like, he got here, he's like, Daddy, Mickey's house. It's like, yeah, we're at Mickey's house now.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah. So,
before I just want to talk about, so like we were talking a little bit about this off air.
Yeah.
Of like, so the first time I went to Disneyland in Japan, you know, obviously all the characters are speaking Japanese, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, it makes sense. It's Japan.
Right. And so like you're riding they have like a Disney train that you take to get to the actual park. And I remember getting on getting on the train, and you hear in the speaker like Mickey Mouse is like, "Oh, hirashimasu!" I was laughing so hard, like I almost fell on the ground because my insides were hurting so much, because it's just like hearing Mickey's voice speaking Japanese was just like it just caught me off guard so much.
I know. You know, so the reason why like I wanted to talk about this is because like I told you off air, but like of course Walt Disney made Disney, he made Mickey Mouse, and he was super patriotic. Like he basically made Disneyland to be like the ideal America, basically. Yeah. And he loved America. But I always thought of Disney as like an American thing, and it is an American company.
I would say like it's the American thing at this point.
But the more I live here, the more I feel like Disney, at least the Disneyland park concept, fits better with Japanese culture more than it does in America.
100% agree, man. Yeah. It's like, look, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You go to Disneyland in California.
Yeah.
What is the one thing they're trying to do as soon as you come in?
Well, you know, actually, I've never been to Disneyland in America. I've been in Paris.
Okay.
But not in America. So you have to tell me.
I feel like this is pretty universal, but like spend money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Buy all this crap. Spend money on food and all this ridiculous stuff at Disneyland. And look, you know, I'm insulting it. I love Disneyland. Yeah. All right. Like I buy the crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Disneyland's fun, but they want you to spend money, and everything in the park is designed to get you to, it's designed by like expert analysts to maximize the amount of money that you spend. Like you cannot go into Disneyland and not spend money.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
So that fits Japanese culture to the T, because people love buying shit here.
Yeah. Well, you know, also it kind of like, now that you mention that, it really hits me, because this kind of goes back to like our discussion about honne and tatemae, about how like in Japan, everyone knows everyone has tatemae, so that's fine. Yeah. But in America, they have their tatemae, they're acting like it's their honne. So it's like, if you find out that's not how they actually feel, then it's a problem, even though that's not how they feel. Yeah. You know, so because like you have all of these, like when I think about like the idol culture, like chika idol culture here, right? Where it's like you spend money to watch like these like girls dance and sing. You spend money to take photos with them. You spend money to get letters from them. Like you're spending all this money to like get something, but you know it's not real because it's just based on money. But that's still something that's, I mean, I know a lot of Japanese people don't like the idol culture very much, but when I first moved to here, I was like, oh, this feels so fake. There's no way this would exist in the States. Yeah. You know, and it doesn't exist in the States.
Well, in that form, I would say. Yeah. I would say the closest thing that I would associate it with is sports culture. Okay. Like sports fandoms. Okay. Like, dude, any city in the US you go, and tell me you go on the freeway, you do not see within like a minute or two a car just decked out in like a football team's colors, or like somebody running like, you know, like you'll see this in Seattle all the time. There'll be like a big truck with like a flag that says 12 on it, like the 12th man, right? Or like a Seahawks logo. And it's like, I feel like with America, it's like that sports obsession. But even, but even so though, like, so, because I remember, this is back when Pedro Martinez was a pitcher for the Red Sox, but I went to a couple Red Sox games,
And I could go down there and get a signature from him for free. Like I didn't have to pay for that.
Yeah. You know? That's true.
Yeah. So it was like the human interactions were like that, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing though that like, so I want to ask you like, what surprised you about Disney and Japan when you first came here?
I mean, other than Mickey Mouse speaking in Japanese to me.
Well, I'll start with a couple things on my side, give you time to think. But like one thing that I was surprised with is just how many people have Disneyland goods that they wear outside and also in the house.
Okay, you know, I'm glad you brought that up because I think that was what I was going to talk about too. It's like one thing that you will absolutely never see in the US is kids or like young adults walking around with like Mickey Mouse ears outside of Disneyland.
Yeah.
But like that's like not uncommon to see here.
Yeah.
You know, you'll see like, you know, maybe some high school students brought them in and are wearing them in their classroom. Or more, I think more commonly, because I have to experience this, is like my wife has like 5 of the like the souvenir popcorn holders.
We have 3 of them.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about then. And so like that's something that I think specifically girls, but I don't think it's only girls, but like pretty much every girl has that here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and like this even goes to the point where like, you know how in Japan on the houses they have like the name plates that has the like person's last name on it.
Yeah.
So like near where I used to live, there was a person who had a Mickey Mouse nameplate who had like Mickey Mouse ears on it, had a picture of Mickey Mouse and then their name, you know?
How often do you see a phone case or a credit card with Mickey Mouse ears?
Dude.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Or another thing you'll see is like you know, Disney themed like bags or like clothing that people wear. Like it's really common here.
Yeah. Yeah, so speaking of that, I want to ask the audience, like, because I'm sure there are people in the audience who like Disney. I want to know, like, what do you like about Disney, or what is it about Disney that's so attractive for you? Both, you know, our English-speaking audience and our Japanese-speaking audience, please leave it in the comment box. I'll just say it in Japanese. So, なんか多分この視聴者の方の中でディズニーが好きな方が割と多いと思うんですね。なんかそのディズニー好きな方はぜひなぜディズニーが好きなのかをコメント欄で教えていただければと思います。
Yeah, I'd be curious too, because like I'll tell you something that I see. That's unique to Japan that you don't see in American Disneyland is the omiyage shop.
Yeah,
like the it's a gift shop, but it's specifically tailored to Japanese omiyage culture, which is like to the Americans watching. It's like those are edible snacks.
Yeah, souvenirs basically. Yeah, edible souvenirs.
And there are several shops in Disneyland here that are dedicated to that.
Yeah, because in Japan, it's customary that if you travel somewhere, you're going to bring back these little cookies and snacks for everyone. Like even when you tell someone you're going to go on a trip, it's very common for someone to say, "Oh, omiyage yoroshiku ne." Yeah, I'm looking forward to the omiyage, man. You know?
Yeah.
It's like that's just baked in the culture. And actually, that's one of the reasons why Disneyland in Japan is doing so much better than in the States, because people just buy all that stuff so much
it's
more.
Like I think American families are a lot more frugal.
Yeah,
like I mean, obviously you're expecting to spend money in Disneyland, but it's like, you know, when I was a kid, like I went to Disneyland a few times. Like I grew up in a pretty well-off family. And so like we would go to Disneyland, but even my family, it was like, all right, you can get like one thing.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas, like, I see the kids over here, and they are just decked out in Disney stuff. So it's like, I feel like families over here budget a lot more with the idea that they're expecting to spend a lot of money when they go to Disneyland.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious to hear about that with you, though, because, you know, so I grew up in Boston, which is probably the farthest away you can be from a Disney resort in the United States, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, like, I wanted to hear about like what your relationship was with Disney before you came to Japan, because you said you've been a few times.
Oh yeah. My relationship with Disney is like, I went probably three times as a kid. Okay. And you know, when I was stationed down in California, when I was in the Marines, like I went a few times just on my own.
Yeah. Why would you do that though?
Because I could.
Okay.
I don't know. I was trying to relive nostalgia.
Okay.
It's like that kind of thing. You get a discount when you're in. I think active military have like once per year they get a free admission into Disneyland.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah. It was just, I don't know, like I grew up like watching Disney movies all the time. Like I would say more so than any other type of movie I watched Disney. So I would say like I was like a pretty heavily influenced Disney person.
Yeah. Cause like for me, right? So of course I grew up with the Disney movies. Everybody grew up with the Disney movies, right?
The golden age of Disney, right?
Yeah. What was funny is my favorite thing to watch when I was 4 years old was Fantasia. And my mom thought that was so weird. That Fantasia was my favorite movie.
Weird.
It is weird.
Weird movie to attach to.
I know, but I think I just like the abstract colors and everything like that. But anyways, I mean,
mine was Robin Hood.
Robin Hood.
You remember the with the animals?
Yeah, with the King Lion.
Yeah. God, I love that movie, man.
I only watched that movie once.
Dude, I loved Robin Hood.
Yeah, but so I went to Disneyland in Paris twice, and when I moved to the States in 1999, I never went to Disney. We never really talked about Disney. We watched Disney movies and stuff, but like for me, it's like, okay, Disney's a fake place. Why would I want to go to a fake place instead of going to like a real place? And so like even now, like because I remember when my sister came to visit us, and Natsumi and I really wanted to go to Disney Sea. And like when I first got married with Natsumi, she wanted to go to Disney with me because that's what couples do.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Why? I don't get it.
See, I understand how you feel that way now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it makes a big difference going to Disneyland, especially multiple times as a kid.
Yeah.
Because I think you would develop this attachment that it's like a fantasy adventure.
Yeah.
So like for me, like my thing when I was a kid is I would go to Adventureland.
Okay, yeah.
And they had like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad was my favorite ride as a kid. My parents, like my dad got so annoyed because the first time they took me to Disneyland, I didn't want to ride the other rides. I found Thunder Mountain Railroad. I'm like, this is what we're riding today.
Okay.
When we finish, we will ride this again.
Okay.
And so my dad was like, do you want to, like, we have all day. We can go to other rides. And I'm like, no. This is the thing that I want here.
Yeah.
And, but like I loved Adventureland because I love cowboy culture. I love like the Wild West. It's like, you know, I'm from there, so it's like that's like the history of like where I'm from, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you have the Wild West and Tom Sawyer's Island.
Yeah.
Was like it was pretty much the same theme, and like I really liked the steamboat ride, and it's like, so I think for Americans, like if you're American, and one thing you'll get attached to is like going to Disneyland is kind of experiencing American history.
Yeah.
Right? You have like old Louisiana, you have Tom Sawyer's Islands, you have like what's that? Futureland?
Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland, which is like, it's not really in the future, it's more of like 1950s America.
Yeah, it's like what 1950s thought the space age would be like.
Yeah. So it's like you kind of get a glimpse of like what space age 1950s America was like. So it's like all the parts of Disneyland are, you're like, you feel so attached to it because you're like, this is my history.
Yeah.
Right. In Japan, obviously, you don't feel that way because it's not Japanese history, right? It's still American history. But what I think really entices people about coming to Japan or coming to Disneyland in Japan is, it's like it's like this area where you can kind of just do. Like you can buy whatever you want, and people aren't going to give you a hard. People aren't going to give you a hard time for spending money in Disneyland.
Yeah,
right. You know, there's a lot of people who, it's like shopping is really popular here in Japan, but it's like I feel like there's this like there's still this I I guess I don't know how else to say it, like frugalness.
Yeah.
Where it's like people, like especially like older generations will look at younger generations and go, well, you should be saving your money. Because it's like that post-World War mentality, right? Yeah. But it's like once you hit Disneyland, it's not a big deal if you spend a ton of money.
Well, yeah, it's like the place where you can be whatever you want, because it's like a world within a world, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But I really get what you say. I feel like Disneyland and all that stuff, all classic Disney stuff, is really like the big selling point for people in the United States is nostalgia.
Yeah.
Of like the good old days that didn't actually exist that way, but in our mind they do because of that. Whereas like in Japan, like you said, it's like a free space where you can be a kid, you can be free, you can do whatever you want, you know? I mean, I personally like it because I like the fact that it's such a beautifully controlled environment. And, you know, I'm like, Walt Disney is my spirit animal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm convinced. Like, I have a picture of him in my office at home, you know?
That doesn't surprise me.
I know, right? but it's just thinking about, like, that stuff. Like, because, you know, what's amazing is, you know, my mom, she grew up telling me about how great America used to be and stuff.
Yeah.
And I realized that a lot of that is just, like, Disney. It's just Disney, it's like just Rose Davy Crockett, you know?
Yeah, look at all these people. Never mind the racism and the abject poverty and the, you know, elites controlling everything.
Yeah.
Let's ignore that. It was great.
It was great. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, I guess, you know, but for what I see here is, I think another reasons why I feel like Disney and Disneyland is more popular here is just because of the proximity.
Yeah.
Because like Honshu is the size of California, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's literally just a skip across the pond, you know, going from Tokyo to Chiba to go to Disneyland.
Although I will say though, and this is not just my opinion, there's been multiple polls done about this, but Tokyo Disney is the best Disneyland in the world.
I completely disagree.
Yeah. Really?
Yep. Completely disagree. Okay. Disneyland in Tokyo sucks compared to California Disneyland.
Really?
Like, not even comparable, man.
Why do you say that?
Okay. So, first of all, California Disneyland has more attractions.
Okay.
California Disneyland has California Adventure.
Okay.
California Disneyland is significantly bigger.
Okay. Oh, sorry. It wasn't Disneyland. It was Disney Sea that they were talking about.
Disney Sea is awesome.
Yeah.
I love Disney Sea.
Yeah.
Disneyland's... Look, I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody. Disneyland sucks in Japan.
Okay.
Disney Sea is great.
Okay.
I wish.
Why do you say that? Because to me, they're kind of like the same.
I'll tell you the reason why. I think, and this is just my opinion. I'm sure I'm completely wrong because obviously, if I was wrong, they'd change, or if I was right, they'd change it. But like, Disneyland in Japan feels too small.
Yeah.
It feels like the attractions that they have at Disneyland compared to Disney Sea. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll tell you what makes Disney Sea feel cool.
Yeah.
Disney Sea feels cool because I feel like the park makes sense.
Okay.
Right? You have this giant cove and everything kind of wraps around it. Mm-hmm. And all the areas like feel like they belong there.
Okay.
Whereas like when I go to Disneyland, it's like you just have this like mishmash of like zones.
But isn't that what Disneyland in California is?
Yeah, but it's so
the same lands.
Yeah, it's true. But the space is so much bigger.
Oh, because
it kind of feels like it flows in naturally.
Okay.
A lot better. Whereas like you go to Disneyland here and it's just like, all right, cool. We're in Adventureland and Tomorrowland's right here. You know what I mean?
It's a lot smaller.
It's like it just like I just don't feel like I'm immersed.
Okay.
When I go to Disneyland here.
It's funny you say that because this is like what we talked about like the other day about how like nature in the United States is so vast and immersive, whereas in Japan it's much more smaller and controlled.
Yeah. But I will say, I feel the complete opposite about Disney Sea.
Okay.
Disney Sea, like the different areas, like just flow so nicely together. You have like, you have on the left, you have like old 1930s New York that kind of like flows into like the volcano where you have like Journey to the Center of the Earth and there's like all this adventure, but it's still like 1930s style steampunk.
Yeah.
It's like you have 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea next to that.
Yeah.
Oh, you go a little bit further and you have like kind of like this tropical area where like Indiana Jones is, and it's supposed to represent South America, and it's like everything just flows so nicely together that I think it was it's just beautiful.
Well, you know, okay, so you know, I was actually watching a documentary the other day about this, but like there's probably a reason why you feel that way though, and it goes back to how the original Disneyland in Tokyo was built.
Okay.
So back in the time that they were building Epcot, they were building Disney World basically. And they were building Epcot and all this stuff over there. Like the Disney Corporation was really busy with that.
Yeah.
But then the Oriental Land Company from Japan was like, "Hey, we want you to build us a Disneyland." And they're like, "No." Next week, "Hey, we want you to build us a Disneyland." No. Next week. They called every week.
Yeah.
And then the people at Disney in the United States were like, "Okay, well, let's give them an offer that they'll have to refuse. We'll make them front all the costs, and then on top of that, we'll charge them a licensing fee to use our characters." So like, "Okay, we will build you a park if you agree to these terms." They're like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it."
Yeah, I had a feeling that's how it's going to go. Like, build us the land, damn it. We'll throw anything you want. Well, just give us an offer.
So probably because they just had that and it wasn't like an achieved dream. And so maybe that's one of the reasons it's a smaller scale. And then when they built Disney Sea, they had all that cash.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It just feels like it was, it's like Disneyland just feels like it was rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing I will tell you that's really freaky is in Disney Sea, they have like Duffy's area, which is like colonial, like Northeastern America.
Yeah.
Like when I first got there and I saw everything out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, "Holy shit, am I in Gloucester now?" It freaked me out, man. And I was like, "No, this is way too clean to be the real Gloucester." But then they have like a Mickey statue of like the fisherman on the thing, and that's in Gloucester too. I've actually seen the real thing.
It's such a cool vibe though, because it has. I'll tell you, I don't even know if this was intentional, but it has a very what's the horror? Oh my god, I'm blanking.
Jaws?
No. The horror artist who did like existential horror with like weird tentacle alien monsters.
Oh, the guy who developed Alien. I forget what his name is.
No. That's Geiger.
Geiger, yeah, okay, not Geiger.
I'm talking about like 1850s.
Are you talking about Lovecraft?
Lovecraft.
Yeah.
There we go.
He was an author.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love Lovecraft.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed that I forgot him.
Cthulhu.
But that place for me has such a very Lovecraftian vibe. It's like just kind of under the surface. And I think a big reason is because 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is like really close to that area.
Okay.
But man, it's like, that area feels like northeastern America.
Dude, it totally is. It was creepy, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so there are still some towns, like, so near where I live, there's a town called Rockport, where if you go to Rockport, you have like, if you look at it in a specific way, it's like laid out exactly the same as what you have in Disney Sea. The food's better, but it's super it's super creepy, man.
Yeah, it's so cool. I'll tell you my favorite area though is the old fashioned New York area.
Oh, that area? Okay.
Where like it's I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like a Rockefeller hotel or mansion that's what's the place called?
Tower of Terror. Yeah.
But it's like,
do you know that they changed Tower of Terror in California?
To what?
It's now like a Marvel theme.
Oh, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
Oh God! I hope that never happens here. I love the story that they have with Tower of Terror, where it's like some rich Monopoly man buys some weird voodoo thing, and it just kills him, and it's like this haunted hotel now. God, that sucks, man. I hate that shit so much.
Well, you know, it's funny though. So back to like the documentary thing I was watching, right? So around the time when they were building Disney Sea was the same time that they were building California Adventure.
Yeah.
And the people working on California Adventure were really jealous of the people working on Disney Sea.
Yeah.
Because one of the reasons why California Adventure at first wasn't very popular is because it was on such a shoestring budget. They're like, we just want to make money, spend the least amount of money possible. Just try to do it like this. And they felt really stifled in their creativity. But then Oriental Land Company was like, "Hey, here's a blank check. Do your best. We just want the best, because if we do the best, people will come."
Yeah.
And like all the people work on that had such a fun time, and you can really see, that's just like, I just love Japan about how it's like you spend way more than you need to, but then you just make it so much nicer.
Tell. Yeah, you can tell, because like we've been talking about, it's like I love Disney Sea. Yeah. It's hands down my favorite theme park to go to.
Yeah.
And it's because they put so much effort into making the space feel immersive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, this is good. Do you have anything else you want to talk about Disney stuff?
What's your favorite Disney ride?
My Haunted Mansion. It's been my favorite since I was a kid.
Oh man, Haunted Mansion scared the crap out of me as a kid. I actually I went on Haunted. So the first time I went to Disneyland, I was 5 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, we'll end on these stories.
Okay, sure.
Fun stories. Yeah. So the first time I went to Haunted Mansion, I was 5 years old, and I rode the ride with my dad. And you know the end part where you cross the mirror and it shows like the ghosts next to you?
Yeah.
Dude, that was the scariest thing 5-year-old Austin had ever witnessed in his life. I was ghost white, terrified. My dad even did this little thing where he like grabbed one of the guy's nose.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, that felt real. I was like, there's ghosts next to me.
Yeah.
This is horrible. Why did you take me on this? I was so traumatized.
Yeah.
And then I went to Disneyland again when I was 8 years old. And you know, I rode the Haunted Mansion ride, and I was like, that's not scary. I'm an 8-year-old now.
Yeah.
And that was the same year that Indiana Jones came out.
Yeah.
The Indiana Jones ride. And so my mom was like, oh, okay, well, let's go take this now. You're old enough. You're ready. Yeah. And so like my parents still have in our photo album, because like, you know, you're riding, you're in line for the Disney, or God, I'm a little drunk, rambling now. You're in line for the Indiana Jones ride, and you know how there's like all that interactable stuff, and you're like kind of going into like the tomb in this Aztec pyramid, and it gets kind of like ominous, and like really kind of dark as like the closer you get to the ride. And my mom took a picture of me. As we're getting closer to the ride and we're kind of inside the tomb, and I am ghost white, just terrified. And it's kind of funny because I'm also wearing like this Indiana Jones hat because we stopped by the store earlier. Right. And so I am just absolutely ghost white, just pale, like fear on my face. And so we get on the ride, and I'm just like clutching the bar because I'm so terrified as a kid. And I won't forgive my mom to this day for this, but you know, we're like, you know, in doing the Indiana Jones ride, and my mom, we reach this point in the ride, and my mom's like, wow, I sure hope we don't break down. And all of a sudden we hit the spot in the ride, and I swear, I don't know if this is true, but I swear the ride used to have two settings, two paths. One path you would be alone in the dark for a while, and the other path you wouldn't break down at all. But we got the one where you're alone in the dark for a while, and so the Jeep broke down in pitch black.
Okay.
And I am screaming like, "Oh my God!" Ah! And I'm just freaking out for like 30 seconds before it finally like kicks in and starts riding again. And it's like, God, my mom had already rode it at this point. She's just like, "I hope we don't break down." It's like, and then, Mom.
Dude. So actually, I have a question for you though. So, because Luna is still like, what, she's 6 months now?
She's 6 months, yeah.
And so when you go to Disney, what are you going to dress her up as? Because we have Woody and we have like the space alien from the claw from Toy Story, and I'm Buzz Lightyear. So what are you gonna do?
I think I'm gonna go super cliche and do Incredibles.
Incredibles? Oh, dude, that'd be
I know
great.
That's not Disney, but it's Pixar, right?
It's Pixar,
like close
so
enough, right?
Disney.
Either that, or I would love to dress her up as Boo from Monsters Inc.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be really cute too.
Yeah, dude. Well, I'm looking. We should go to Disney together.
That'd be fun.
You know.
Yeah, so Yui wants to go this. She wants to go to Christmas Disney, so I've never done it before.
I'm going to be in the States at that time, but next time you guys go, we can figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it was good talking to you. I'll see you next time.
Cheers.